Hey, welcome back to the Career Jumpstart series. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the Luddy Career Services Peer Advisors, and today we're going to be talking about case interviews. So first, what is a case interview? A case interview is when an employer gives you a real-world problem and they want to see how you solve that problem as you work in front of the recruiter. So we see these across all different domains in consulting and any technology position. In certain business-facing roles like marketing, finance, even the public sector like government. The list goes on about where you might encounter a case interview. So what are they looking for when they give you a case interview? Well, a couple different things. The first one is they're looking if you are an effective communicator. So are you a good listener? Will you engage with your interview and will you ask good questions to them? The second one is they're looking at your problem-solving skills. Can you organize your information effectively? Can you show comfort when they give you a complex problem that's maybe a little bit ambiguous? The third thing they're looking for is your interpersonal skills. So this is essentially a good test of how you're going to act in front of a client. So can you remain relaxed and flexible? Can you demonstrate poise? Are you going in with confidence? Are you having fun with it? All things that they're looking for in case. There are a couple key differences between a behavioral interview and a case interview. The number one being that a case interview is going to be more conversational and interactive. They're not just going to be asking you questions and expecting a response right off the bat, but they really do want to see how you work and how you think. So we're going to work through some steps now on how to best show off your ability to work and think through these cases. The number one step is listen to the case. You want to identify the key client issues and what problems they're currently facing. So this involves taking notes. You want to note any facts or figures that they give you and assess the facts that are provided. So a good rule of thumb is to just know that the facts are likely incomplete and note what questions you still have when you step into the second step, which is clarifying the problem. So the first thing you want to do in the clarifying the problem state is you want to ask clarifying questions to confirm what facts you think you know. So that is reframing what you think the problem is in a question format, just to confirm that you're on the right track. Once you do that, you can ask any clarifying questions you might have from the first step, or ask about any key terms or acronyms that you don't quite understand. After asking all your questions, you can start to develop a framework. So you want to identify a hypothetical resolution for this issue. You want to choose a framework that's going to allow you to test your hypothesis, as you'll be doing that later on. So in this step, sketches or graphics can be a really useful tool to demonstrate to the employer what you're thinking in terms of a solution. The fourth step is that you want to state and test your hypothesis. So you want to walk through that resolution that you were coming up with the employer. Describe how you would test that. This is also a good step to probe for additional information. So maybe your hypothetical solution prompted the recruiter to reveal additional information to you. So you've got to now take that additional information into consideration when figuring out the rest of your solution. Finally, you want to summarize your findings. So you want to present what you think the client should do given all the information that you've received over the past couple of minutes. And why they should do that. So you want to provide a couple of supporting arguments. It's important here that you don't just rehash the entire case, but you really distill down to what the most important and concise 30 to 60 seconds of your solution are. So you can feel free to ask for a minute to gather your thoughts. I know it always feels kind of strange to do that in the middle of an interview. Don't feel pressure to not ask for a minute to kind of gather yourself. You're totally free to do that. So we'll quickly re-go over what our case structure is. So first, you want to listen to the case. You want to clarify the problem, develop a framework, state and test your hypothesis, and summarize your findings. So now that we've gone over how to navigate a case, let's go over the different types of cases you might encounter. We generally see 4 different types. So the first one is the great unknown. They're going to provide very little information, maybe even just a sentence or two, and test your ability to probe for additional details. They really want to see if you can figure out what's important to this case and ask questions regarding that so that you can come to a conclusion. The second is going to be pretty much the opposite of the great unknown. It's going to be the parade of facts, where they're going to provide you a significant amount of details. A lot of them are oftentimes going to be not relevant to the case. So you've really got to narrow it down to what's important and what you're going after, and then find a solution based on those important issues. So they want to make sure that you're not getting sidetracked with other things and chasing those down rabbit holes, but really you should stick to what you think is the most important issue. The third one is the market sizing case, where they're going to ask some key questions like, should they break this product into a market? Should they expand into this market? So they want to test your analytic abilities and see some of the arithmetic required that you might do to break into this market. Finally, the fourth type is going to be brain teasers. So they want to see how you think on your feet. They're going to throw you a really off-the-wall question that oftentimes they don't even know the answer to. So they just want to see how you think. So don't be shaken by these types of cases. Just stay poised and know that if they ask a certain arithmetic question, feel free to give really general rounded numbers to make sure that you stick to the issue at hand rather than getting caught up in the analytics and the numbers of it all. So now that we've gone over some different types of cases, let's go over some common mistakes that we see students make. The number one is just not listening to the case, and not listening leads to not understanding the objective or moving a little too quickly through the case. So you really want to make sure you don't lose sight of what your objective is here and what your problem or the problem that you're trying to solve here. The next is failing to talk through your logic. So you really want to make sure that not only do they understand your solution, but they should understand why you got to that solution. So you really want to be flexible and you want to provide an adequate and fleshed out solution to the recruiter. Some common misconceptions we see along the way too is that students tend to think most cases are structured the same way, when in reality, the structure can vary from case to case, company to company, or even by the interviewer. So you can go, uncover as you go issues versus they give you the whole case. You'll have candidate-led interviews versus more interviewer-led interviews. You're just gonna have to feel that out in the interview. And even some of the more logistical aspects can be asked before the interview starts. Another common misconception is that there's one right answer and approach to a case, when oftentimes there's several credible approaches to a case. The recruiter's not looking for one specific answer, but rather how you got to your answer and how you structure your problem solving to get you there. That leads us into our next common misconception, that they expect you to get to the right answer, when in reality, they just want a thoughtful and structured response. So again, it's more how you compose yourself and how you get to your solution than the actual solution itself. The next is that industry knowledge is required to do well in the case, when in reality, that's not so much the case. So they expect you to have basic terminology down, and they'll know what terms you're going to come in with, but they expect you to be effective with the knowledge you are given, and then make hypotheses based on common solutions along the way. So again, it's more how you step through rather than the actual solution you come through. So do you want to learn more about cases? Reach out to us. We can schedule an appointment for a mock case interview via handshake, or email the Career Services office. We're more than happy to answer any questions. But in terms of practice, it's really important to practice before your first interview. They're not quite as intuitive as most students tend to think they are in the first go around. So we advise, even practice cases with your friends, and if you alternate between different styles and cases, any type of practice you can get is going to benefit you along your journey in becoming a case interview master. So that's a wrap for this week's Luddy Career Jumpstart. See you next time, where we'll discuss a different topic focused on helping you jumpstart your career in tech. Thanks, guys.